Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Today we're going to be talking about the religiously aggravated sexual exploitation of Sikh females across the UK. Now this isn't a new thing and something that we've just been talking about over the last few months or the last year or two. This has been ongoing since the 50s and 60s. We've got cases reported back evidently in the papers, in articles and from case studies that we've been speaking to families and survivors from those times, and it has gone back to the 60s where we've got evidence and which we've put in a report as well, as you've seen. Previously last year, in the later of last year, we released a race report where all the evidence is in there going back 5 decades. Now, religiously aggravated sexual exploitation of Sikh females, why do we keep highlighting the Sikh part? Because it's very important that we do this as a community, because nobody's actually understanding how we've been targeted. Now, if you go to the Rochdale Gang, in their trial, Judge Gerald Clifton clearly stated that the perpetrators targeted young white females because of their ethnicity and they wasn't from their religion or community background. Now this is very important that we see and notice why this was quoted, and this quote needs to be highlighted a bit more in evidence for the Sikh community, because we have been speaking about this and fighting upon case and trying to get the wider community along with the relevant bodies to understand this sensitivity and these issues, because it's very sensitive and it's very difficult for people to take on board how this could happen. Now, if you go back to the 60s and 70s where there's evidence cases in front of you that we're bringing onto the screen now, you can see. If you look in the 90s, 10 men from Birmingham went all the way from Allen Rock all the way to Coventry College to target and forcefully try and groom and convert Sikh females. This is another judge who has quoted this, and it's very important that we realise how bad it has been and how easy the authorities and all the relevant bodies have made life easier within the system for people now to manipulate that system. So you need to look back at these articles. We need to really go on about this religiously and racially aggravated sexual exploitation, because it is such a need for us to highlight this, why the authorities aren't recording these crimes as well as the CSE side of it. Now, you know, in 2013 you saw a high profile Sikh female case where she was exploited. Other Sikh females were involved and part of that gang, but they wasn't, the perpetrators weren't convicted for that. They were only convicted for one young Sikh female. If we go to Slough, now, you know, like I'm trying to highlight, this isn't just in one place across the UK, this is up and down the country. If you go to Slough, a young Sikh female was targeted. Her video, indecent video, was made of her, and while doing this indecent act, they went up to Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj's photo, highlighted our father's photo on the wall, and then came back into the indecent act. After this was recorded, it was uploaded onto an indecent porn site, and now if you look at the comments that were put by perpetrators and his associates, that this isn't a religious angle. If you can't read this and you can't see that this wasn't a religiously aggravated sexual crime on a Sikh female, then we need to start thinking about how we're conducting ourselves and how we're going to make changes within this crime, because as a community we need to stand up for this. If we look and go back to 2007, where a young Sikh female was hidden in a man's shed at the back of his house, and people went looking for her, and you know, the police had to guard the house because this was also highlighted, and this was massive in Birmingham at the time. So you know, this is an ongoing issue. Religiously aggravated sexual exploitation of Sikh females needs to be highlighted, and the relevant bodies in charge really need to start taking note of when they are recording these crimes. They also need to start understanding, when it's a Sikh female, the hate crime towards it. Why do we need this highlighted? One, it highlights that there is a religious aggravated side to this. Second point, it will up the charges and the conviction side. It will put a higher conviction on the perpetrator. So it's very important and it's very relevant, and we as a community need to start doing more. We will be doing more videos like this to educate yourselves a bit more. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.